Alrighty, it's time for another demo review of our match that we played on product. Last time I did try to do a demo review of this match. I had a sneeze attack and I muted my mic and I forgot to unmute. But when I did that demo review I was really tired anyway, so the quality was terrible. So let's try again. So the first thing that I want to mention is that our rollout was terrible on this in this scrim. First of all, our Sully didn't whip because he wasn't familiar with Highlander King of the Hill pretty much. So we were all a little bit slower to mid. And secondly, most of our team chose to roll out on the right side. So pretty much all of us go up here on the concrete, and there's a lot less space here basically, so it's just incredibly easy for the enemy team to just spam us out. So that's our first big mistake, and it ends up with us pretty much just losing the mid really hard. Instead, what we should be doing is just pretty much getting whipped through main. Some people can go right side, that's fine. But there's a lot more space near this cliff area and you can stand behind rock. This is where our combo should be holding. But instead we get kind of trapped off in the main area there because their demo is fast and we have very little space. They could have taken more space as well because we've kind of given it up for free. But yeah, additionally our pyro overextends in the tunnel and me and our heavy gets stabbed right off the bat, so our medic just immediately decides to retreat to spawn, which is fine because we have pretty fast respawn timers. In general, unless this area is completely clear, you should pretty much never try to push through tunnel because most of the time the flank is gonna watch it, and if the Solly, you know, if he knows what he's doing, he'll just bounce you up in the tunnel, you'll get completely caught, and that's what happened to our pyro. He got like hit by one rocket, and then the enemy pyro just WM1'd him. So, yeah, something that I'd like to point out as well, if we go back a little bit, is how their spy got 2 backstabs. And it's a problem that we've had in the past because people on our team are terrible at spy checking, and that includes me. It goes for pretty much everyone, but this time I think it was our medic and our NG who actually had the spy like in vision, but I don't know, I guess they just didn't react. Let's have a look. So basically what I want everybody on the team to improve on is look around. When you're not shooting at somebody, just, you know, use your spare time to just look everywhere and see if there's any spies or anything like suspicious going on. Because our NG right now, as you can see, their spy is coming out of the house, but because our NG is kind of looking down in the ground, I don't know if he might actually see the spy here, but you can only see the legs. Their spy, by the way, is disguised as an NG, so if our NG saw him, he should be really suspicious immediately, of course, because we can't have 2 NGs. But yeah, because people are kind of looking down in the ground like this, not paying attention, their spy just gets away with a lot more than they should have. And this is like a recurring thing throughout the match, and I'll try to point it out. I might not be able to point out every single instance, but you'll see what I mean. So yeah, their spy just gets a free drop down, and it doesn't get our medic luckily, but it still gets me, and gets our heavy because he reacts kind of slowly as well. So let's go back once more. The thing about this review is I'm going to go really into detail because there's a lot of small mistakes that we need to fix up. In our previous matches, I've mostly been focusing on like macro, like our general team coordination and such, but for this demo review I'm going to go into a lot of individual mistakes, so don't take it personal. I'm just gonna like point out the mistakes of everybody in this demo review. Also, the first round of this map, we didn't, we were down a player, so I'm not gonna look at that. Like, we were mostly just waiting in spawn for our last player to show up. So now I'm gonna look at the whole thing from our medic's perspective, and the same kind of happens with him. Like if we go back a little bit, like right here, there's kind of 2 engineers in his vision. So like at this point, their spy should be called out. It's really bad that he isn't called out. Anyway, let's proceed. Something that I'd like to mention as well is, if you look at their heavy, he knows that there's not actually that much you can do on the mid as a heavy. Like, you can't just sit here and deal a ton of damage, then you're most likely just gonna get headshot. So what's very common for heavies on this mid is kind of just like sitting behind the rock, and you might poke a little bit, but your main purpose is, one, just make sure that the enemy team isn't jumping entirely on top of everybody. So like if people get close, you can actually mow them down, or if like a solid jumps, you can try to stop them in the air. And your second purpose is just, you know, looking behind, look for decloaks, and try to see their spy, because people are going to be very distracted on mids, especially like classes like the Demo, Solly, and Sniper, so they can't really look that much behind. And our NG is going to be, you know, elsewhere building stuff, so it's pretty important to have the heavy take a bit of that responsibility. Now, luckily, after our first mid, our medic gets back, so we do have crits. We get it a little bit later than them, so they're able to push in, and they get 2 picks, but it's not too bad. And we use back into them, and we're able to get their Solly as well as their heavy. So let's see how that plays out. Here their spy is flanking, but I don't believe he gets anything. And their scout as well. So yeah. Here I kind of ignore the spy for some reason, but what I do is I see their sniper playing by their rock right there. And he's gonna have a sightline, and I believe I call it an our medic because of their scout and spy flank. Our medic is very weak, and unfortunately when I call it, he realizes that he's kind of close to the sightline, but in order to get out of the sightline, he decides to jump, which was a pretty big mistake. So if you look at the whole situation from their sniper's perspective, as you can see, our medic just jumps past him and he gets shot. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, like jumping a lot of the time is gonna hurt you more than it helps you, because when you're in the air, you might accidentally jump into sightline, and you're also more predictable because you can't move that fast back and forth. So so yeah, that's something for everybody to keep in mind, not just our medic, of course. I wrote a pretty big list for everybody in the team, with things that we could work on, like every single member. But I think I'll go through it at the end, and then we'll just update the billboard as well, like just try and maybe merge some points or remove the old ones and put in new ones for like bullet points for improvements, pretty much. In general, our flank did pretty well this game, I think. It was a really chaotic game, so they were able to get behind a lot of the time, which was pretty great. So now it seems that we just get like a bunch of free picks, and they just let us repush mid. It's turning it back up to 100% speed. Right here, our heavy is really aggressive on Cliff, which he shouldn't be. I'm pretty sure he gets picked because of it. And maybe it was later, but... Okay, so... Yeah, this is a pretty nice moment. They try to use crits into us, but we're so aggressive that their medic actually dies before they can accomplish anything. So let's have a look at how that happened once again. Because I'm very happy, like I was so scared when they used crits, and somehow people just collapsed on them. Had a lot of nice synergy, and we were able to just shut them down completely. That's the thing about crits, it's like a double-edged sword. If you get jumped upon, you can actually lose your crits without accomplishing anything. But it's pretty risky, obviously, because they might just get a bunch of kills. But as you can see, like our solid jumps, they're choked just as they're about to use crits through. And they take some sticky spam as well, I believe. And their medic dies. And now we just DM them down. Our sniper gets a really nice headshot. Our sniper played really well this match. Oh, but our medic died to a backstab, so let's go back and see how that happened. Yeah, I'm gonna look at most of the backstabs this match, because I think at least 60% of them could have been prevented if people actually looked around. Okay. Alright, so there's their spy. He gets spotted out though, so I'm not sure how he could possibly get a backstab. I guess he just cloaks and then he goes around, because I went too far back. Here it's pretty hard to notice, but if you ever see like the ammo pack getting picked up while there's nobody there, you know, be suspicious, because it means that there's most likely an invisible spy running across. And it's especially common on mids. And it's something for our own spy to keep in mind as well. Like on our first rollout, our spy also went concrete and he went through the connector, which is really risky because there's usually going to be like people standing in the entrance, body blocking you, or just spamming through. So it's incredibly risky to try to get through the tunnel or connector or whatever you want to call it. Most common is actually just running across the point on this left side here by the cliff, and maybe even grabbing the ammo pack. So something that we might want to look out for on mids is actually that ammo pack disappearing. If our own spy didn't grab it, of course, means that the enemy spy should be like about this area below cliff. So anyway, let's see how he gets his pick. Goes through house, pretty common. And then he's just probably gonna drop down from China. Actually, I like accidentally kill him or something. Is that intentional? I have no idea. But yeah, and our medic is still alive. Guess I went like way too far back, actually. Or maybe I didn't go far enough back. What's our Uber at? Oh, we got 100% Uber. Yeah, so he couldn't have died. Maybe I was mistaken. He never died. So foolish of me. Here their spy. Okay, I think he does die though, because their spy sneaks past, and from what I can remember watching the demo earlier, this was like a pretty long time ago though. But yeah, their spy gets like a pick right here. And again, I'm going back to this, but here our roamer takes a bunch of damage, right? So he jumps back to the dispenser. It's nice, he gets an arrow as well as like a little buff from our medic. But while he's standing here, he doesn't do anything. He just looks down into the ground. Like, he doesn't even look straight forward, he looks down. But if he were to like look a little bit up, he would see their spy coming from on top of China. He's disguised as the pyro, so obviously like he's a spy. There's no way our own pyro is going to be on top of China. Like, he has got nothing to do over there. And as a result of our roamer just looking down in the ground, our spy gets the jump for free and, I don't know, stabs him. Stabs our pyro somehow, and I die to him as well because he like butter knifes me, and then I take some splash damage, and then he just uses the revolver. Speaking of which, I recommend that our own spy uses the revolver a lot, because I saw on this map he used the ambassador a little bit together with the dead ringer, I think, and he also used the Electron J with the Invis watch. But I'm not sure if the Electron J was actually needed. Like, the extra cloak time is nice, sure, but it's mostly useful if you need to stay cloaked for a really long time in order to go for like a really important pick. But I think on this Koth map it's so chaotic that you're better off just having the revolver with that extra damage that it grants. And obviously the same goes for the ambassador. Like, you need to be really damn good at hitting headshots if it's actually going to be viable, now that you can't just stand a million miles away and snipe people with it. You need to be pretty close, obviously, to get full damage, and then you need to be very consistent with your headshots. But the thing is, like, the ambassador has lower damage, it has lower fire rate, and if you want to wait for the accuracy to go up so that you can actually hit headshots, then it has even lower fire rate. So you might as well just body shot with the revolver, and it's going to be doing approximately the same damage, except it's like much more consistent. So right now we're trading crits, and I'm just gonna go back a little bit and look at that, because we barely got anything out of that crits, and I'm gonna take full responsibility for that. Looks like I'm getting some messages. I'm gonna have to check them, because last time I didn't check messages in order to stay professional, and it turns out that people were messaging me about my mic being muted, so let's have a look. Yeah, our former spy main's telling me that Ambi is not viable. I agree. It's classy, but it's not viable. Yeah, let's have a look at the crits exchange, because this was, I don't know, I want to say unfortunate, but in reality it was probably just me being bad. So I died because of the butter knife and pistol, and then I respawned, but we have 100% crits. So what I'm calling is that, like, we have the point, right? We force them to retake, and then we just use the crits into them once they're on the point. And they do actually stack up a lot, which means that we should get a really fat crits. But unfortunately I beef it completely, and we'll just see how that plays out in a moment. So there I just respawned and took the tally, and I meet up with my medic, so nice synergy there. And we're gonna push through main and use crits. Now the first mistake that I make is that I actually call crits too early. I call crits as if I'm the one popping it, like they're like as if it's popped instantly, and then I shoot my sticky right after. But what I don't do is I don't account for the my call going through voice chat and our medic reacting. So the problem is that I actually shoot my first sticky before it's actually crit boosted, and that's a huge waste. So in short, you know, I just have to remember it's better to call crits a little bit too early than a little bit too late, because if I call it so late that the reaction time is greater than the time before I shoot my first sticky, then, you know, that's obviously a big waste, especially considering the first sticky is actually going to be charged most of the time, so it's the most precise sticky. Anyway, though, I think I miss my first sticky. Let's have a look. There's the one, and it's not crit boosted, and it kind of like lands smack dab in the middle of all their players. So I guess, I don't know, it was like, it barely didn't hit everybody, but it wasn't crit boosted anyway. Then my second crit boosted sticky, I pretty much go for their medic all the time here, because I know that they have Uber as well, or crits actually, they have. So I'm trying to like snipe their medic before they can use crits into us, and obviously they have like a Solly and stuff here, so they're gonna be able to kill us a lot easier if they actually use crits as well. Unfortunately, my second sticky, which is crit boosted, like bounces into their pyro. Like, it was headed towards their medic, but their pyro just body blocks the sticky, and it lands on the ground right there. Barely doesn't hit their Solly as well. Third sticky, I overshoot it, and then I like switch to pipes, and their medic just jumps over my pipe. I don't know, like it's my fault, but I want to say that's kind of unfortunate, like how the stick is landed. But whatever, you know, I'll work on it. Anyway, we lose our combo. Actually, our medic survives, but I die. Kind of deserve to die there. But let's move on. I've embarrassed myself enough. Let's talk about some other stuff. From what I've noticed from watching our flank, there are a few things that they can work on as well. Oh, here we go. Their spy nearly gets our medic. Our medic is on a mission to heal our heavy, it seems. But yeah, he runs too far and he gets spotted because our medic doesn't like go backwards, it seems. And our heavy gets stabbed somehow still. But yeah, we need to work on our callouts. Anyway, I was talking about our flank. Something that Adam needs to work on is just movement against projectile classes. Otherwise, I think his DM is pretty good. Another mistake that I think he makes is a lot of the time when he's behind, he gets a little bit too greedy. He like tries to take 2v1s and such, which, you know, sometimes he goes for this risky plays and he gets like a lot of value out of it. But I think most of the time you're better off just staying alive behind their lines and causing distractions. Maybe like wait for the rest of the team to sync up with you so that you can like go for a combined attack. But like right now he's in the 2v1 and he backs out, so for the most part I think he played pretty well. And there was a little bit more that I wanted to say. For our Solly, I noticed that Joy sometimes rushes his rockets a little bit, so he'll actually miss them. So what I recommend for him is just, you know, take your time with the rockets, make sure that they hit exactly where you want them to hit. Because obviously it takes a lot more time to reload the rocket than it takes to just use, you know, half a second more to just make sure that your rocket actually hits. And yeah, when it comes to our pyro, there's something that he can work on as well, and that is pretty much just sticking more with the combo and spy checking. Like right now I think he's doing a decent job. He's just reflecting and keeping them back. Oh yeah, here comes another stab onto our medic. Something that I think our medic should do a lot more is look around, and it's something that I've said for everybody, but especially our medic, because I mean, once he has his medic gun like attached to somebody, you don't actually need to aim it, so you have all the freedom in the world to just turn your cam around. And never trust a wall to protect you from backstabs, because what I've seen like from a lot of medics, even pretty good ones, is that they stand with their back against the wall and think that they can't get backstabbed, but the angle from which you can get backstabbed is like so wide, so it's just not safe really. And as you can see, it's right here, it's kind of awkward, like their spy bumps our medic and then he like still gets a backstab, even though it's like he's kind of on the side. But yeah, just make sure that everybody needs to be looking around more so that their spy doesn't get away. And also like our heavy needs to react when people get stabbed. In general, I think our heavy and our pyro should do a better job of spy checking. And something that both of our pyros do, a pretty big mistake, is that when they're spy checking, they'll just stand in one place and kind of throw flames in a circle instead of actually trying to think like a spy and like thinking where would the spy be, right? Like after stabbing our medic and our heavy, our spy would probably, or their spy would probably go into house or towards the pack on the cliff or something like that, right? He wouldn't just stick around on mid. So whoever's spy checking needs to actually check like behind us and in places where spies would be, not just like around our main combo and in front of us, especially because obviously a spy is not gonna like decloak or something in front of us. Here their spy is again up on China, and I don't know if anybody sees him. Some spy on spy action right there. Very intriguing. Our pyro is a little bit overextended as well. It's a problem that most of our classes have. But I think especially our pyro and our heavy overextended a lot this match. And yet again, their spy is like up there peeking for free and nobody's looking there. So yeah, we certainly got a lot to work on in regards to spy checking. They're heavy. For some reason is on our cliff. But I believe he gets cleaned up pretty easily, which is nice. Adam just DMs the shit out of him. And they use an aggressive crits into us. We do not have crits. But something that I was pretty happy with, for the most part, in this game was that actually whenever they used crits, I think we spotted it pretty early and we called it. And for the most part, we managed to get back safely. Like, I don't think our medic died to crits, their crits very often. It was only that one time when I beefed, like, and their solly was with crits right on top of our medic. Also, this was pretty nice, like, their solly is on top of me, and he just eats a pipe, and our sniper shoots him as well, so we managed to take him down. Like this right here, I don't know. Depends where their sniper is, but this kind of poke is like not worth it if you're actually in the sniper sideline, and it's something that our heavy should work on. Just try and look where your team actually is, and don't try to like poke people from across the map if you risk getting headshot. But obviously, like right now, I don't know if their sniper is dead, but he's certainly not watching. So I guess it's fine. So right now we have almost got crits, and it's time for me to beef another crits push, I believe. So we'll look at how that happens. I make a really big mistake actually. I think I had a crit sticky that was going directly towards their medic, but I dead it too early, so... Okay, so is that... Yeah, that's like the one, and it's about to go straight into them, and I dead it slightly too early. So that's terrible to me, and then like somehow magically I just die. I don't know, their pyro does something to me. It's pretty cruel, so we better not look. Anyway. Also, something that our solly needs to do less of is try to bomb when they have a heavy and a pyro and even like sentries nearby, because it's not gonna work. He has kind of a roamer mentality from sixes, but in Highlander it's a lot harder to get away with those kinds of bombs because, yeah, as I said, like pyros, sentries and heavies, they're just gonna push you back, and pyros are gonna reflect, and you're not gonna get a lot out of it most of the time. You pretty much only want to bomb if you can get in for free, like unseen, either from behind, or if you do like a super fast bomb coordinated with like the rest of the team, maybe something like that. Also, something that our solly can try to do in the start. It's funny how our pyro just get blasted into their medic. It would have been pretty cool if you got a kill, but anyway, like, yeah, something that our solly can do in the start on product, from what I understand, this is pretty common. It is to jump up on the enemy cliff, because obviously people are not gonna roll out through cliff unless it's the enemy sniper. Alright, here I just try to go for a sack because I know we have a pretty low Uber percentage, and I thought their medic took a little bit more damage. So I went for a sack, but it didn't really work. Something that I should improve on as a main caller is to try to organize my team a little bit more, so that whenever we go for sacks... yeah, also this was pretty stupid. I guess it was another sack, but yeah, no way that was gonna work. Yeah, as I was saying, as a main caller, I should work on like calling for people to sack a little bit clearer so that we could go in at the same time. Anyway, so they have the point now. We have faster respawns, so I mean dying isn't that bad, although like we didn't accomplish anything. So now we're just holding passively, waiting for respawns. Oh. That was weird. Okay, anyway. So we're at 85% crits now. I think I can maybe go a little bit faster. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, which is why I like prefer to go a little bit slower, because then I won't just have to go back all the time. But yeah, again, our heavy is like alone, although like right now the timer is about to run out, so people just really need to jump on the point, I guess. It's actually another thing that I wrote in my notes, is that like for some reason when the timer is about to run out, none of our team members seem to realize, and we kind of did our thing without jumping on the point. It would probably not work, but it's still something that we should keep in mind. There's I have a lot of cases where my team managed to like clutch it out, because if there's like a prolonged fight, whoever's not holding the point actually has a big advantage, because they have like faster respawns. So as long as we can like get a little bit of overtime on the point, or cap time leading to overtime, it's gonna be pretty good for us, because of our faster respawns we can just like outlast them. Anyway, it's showed how the match ended right there, but that was just because this is the wrong config. Doesn't really matter though, we just started over again, and we're off to our second legit round. First one obviously not being legit like the very first one. Technically this is the third one, but like the very first one, we didn't have a player. So anyway, right here on mid, I play pretty terribly. There's something weird that happens that I for some reason don't see. So right here, their demo is really fast. He gets whipped and then he jumps late using the overheal. Like he jumps over Japan and just starts taking the main, which he did last time as well, but I went on concrete, so it didn't work. Anyway, this time it shouldn't work either, but it kind of does in a funny way. Because I see his stickies, and I try to remove them, but I must have blinked or something like that, because once like instant I'm deading to remove them, I didn't see what happened, because it looked like all his stickies just disappeared. But actually, what I don't realize is that he's the one who dead before me. And so instead of me like deading his stickies away and scattering them, it's him who like that's my sticky away. And I don't see it because it's like really fast. Like right now, I believe we're in like 50% speed. I should have seen it, of course, but I think I blinked or something like that. I don't know. I got plenty of excuses, but yeah, I like right at this moment. I just look to the sides and I don't see any of his stickies, so I'm super confused. But I just think that like, oh well, I scattered them and then he like that or something like that. And what I don't see is that my own sticky actually got moved there. So like as I'm trying to poke across the point, I dead that sticky that I just shot, and I accidentally launched myself forward into their scout. So yeah, this is the moment where you play the laugh track. Anyway, yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. Let's move on. Our team though is really slow because again we don't have the whip. They're already like in a pretty great position on mid. And we're down a bunch of players, so like at this point we should just try and reset. Our Solly could like try to stack for their medic, although it's pretty difficult from this position, especially considering that their heavy is like looking straight at our Solly. And our sniper gets stabbed. Like right here, I think our pyro should work on the thing that I mentioned earlier. Like, don't just spray around. Think like, where would a spy actually go? And like this corner or inside here would be one such example. But yeah, it goes for all of us. Like, it's not just our pyro that needs to spy check, it's all of us. But let's see, hopefully it doesn't get anything. Like right now I think our pyro sees it, but maybe we call it a bit late, and yeah, he doesn't get anything. So I guess that was sloppy, but it was pretty close. It could have ended with disaster right there. So this time it looks like we're about to crits from Cliff. So let's see how I beef this one. Okay, so their pyro is right beneath us, which is kind of inconvenient. I'm gonna slow this down a little bit more, just so that we can capture everything that happens. Yeah, again, that's too early. I'm too eager. Oh, that nearly hit their engine though. Yeah, and then, like, our medic ended up there. I guess he got air blasted or something like that. And then they used crits into us. So yeah, that was another beefed crit push. I don't know if we actually knew that their pyro was right below our cliff, but that was pretty bad. Another thing though is, I think when we're about to push, our team should kind of be ready. So like, while we were on cliff, our team should be here on concrete or in main and just trying to poke and cause a distraction, or just go in on the crits themselves. And maybe, you know, they would have spotted the pyro and we could have just picked him before we actually crits. Something like that, I don't know. Something that I didn't mention before the game actually was that people shouldn't be with us during Ubers, at least not that many. But what I mean by that is that, like, we shouldn't have that many people with the medic, like, because like if we're using a normal Uber, they're just gonna force the medic to flash more people. And if we're using crits, if they counter pop a crits Uber or a crits Skrig, then they're just gonna potentially get a lot of picks because we're clumped up. But what people can do is, like, while we're using crits from cliff, for instance, they can come in from concrete or main. Yeah, so basically what I meant is just don't come in from the same angle. Again, their spy, I mean, gets another pick, so yeah, it's pretty bad, and it's been like that in other matches as well. Like, their spy just gets away with everything. And they used another aggressive crits, but their med died. Let's see how that happened. Can't remember actually. He might have just gotten backstabbed or headshot. Our eye sniper, did pretty well this match, I must say. Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, this was the really bad round where we didn't even get like a single cap on the point. Looks like our solid just jumped their medic, so that was pretty nice. They still get a little bit of crits off though. Right here, I get backstabbed. A call out that we should use more, by the way, for spies, is that we should say spy on this class. So like, they're a lot of the time I notice in our comps when people see a spy, they just call spy, and like nobody knows where he is, so nobody knows who, like, where to look. or who's supposed to look behind. Obviously, because like if you're fighting somebody and the spy isn't even near you, you don't want to look behind you, right? So like at that moment, our pyro should like call spy on demo, and then I know to turn around, and the rest of the team knows where he is as well. Like approximately, he's gonna be near me. So that's a more efficient way of calling out the spy's location. Yeah. So again, like timer was about to run out. I was desperate on the point, and I get M1W'd because I'm not paying attention, and nobody else was in as well because I don't know why. Like people need to just get in when the timer is low. Final round. Our Sully takes a little bit of time to switch, but then he jumps after us and the whips are heavy, so that's nice at least. And also I don't die instantly, which is also nice. But here our like Sully is too aggressive. And yeah, he dies for it. So as a Sully, like if you want to be that aggressive, just try to get behind them instead of like right on top of them. Go to cliff. And as you can see, their sniper is cliff right now, so you might have gotten their sniper actually. Just walk up the left side after you whip people. Otherwise, if you're gonna go right, you probably just want to hold connector. If we get a lot of space for free on mid, you can like get closer here and go where Adam's right now and like maybe do a wall jump off that giant concrete pillar, and we can like synchronize some aggression on them. Let's say if they're like bunched up in main or whatever. But in the very beginning, you don't want to jump in like that because you're just gonna die for free. Also, Adam like is sometimes a lot more aggressive than it should be against like a lot of people. So yeah, I guess it's a problem that a lot of players on our team have. It's just that they don't realize when they're alone and then they still go in or like overextend. Here's another example of like just lazy spy checking, where you're just spinning in the circle and throwing at flames instead of like just checking corners and like maybe inside that little house, something like that. Do we have crits? Yes, we do. So right now their medic died. Let's actually see how that happened. Okay, their medic is alive right now. Guess he got backstabbed. Nice job, Winters. So now, I guess with their med down, they just fall back and let us cap the point for free. And we do have crits at the moment, but I believe I didn't want to use it because they were like really scattered. We wouldn't get much from it anyway, like they're suiciding and stuff. I believe actually their Solly and Demo goes for a synced suicide and actually kill our medic. I'm not sure if this was right now, but I think it might be. More our players should be aggressive right now. Oh, our Solly is actually jumping in behind. This was really nice. And Adam's in the house, so killing their heavy. Yeah, see, like I noticed this at multiple points of this match, like also in the first and second round, their heavy was just running around with like the crits gloves trying to fight Adam behind their house. And I don't know, I guess that's how he got so high DPM. Also, look at the enemy scouts loadout. It's like he's impersonating Shrugger. But it doesn't have the Shrugger DM, so Adam kills him. Anyway. Oh, at this point our Spy Winters is using the revolver, so that's pretty nice. As you can see, he picked the dispenser, so that's the power that the revolver possesses. And our Sully takes Cliff, which is nice. We have a lot of ground, so we can just do that for free. And we call that they're all coming from Cliff. At this point, we might even be able to like use an aggressive Uber into their demo on Cliff. But I guess they're not committing. So yeah, actually now they're gonna go for the sack. You can clearly see that they have like some communication going on here between their Sully and demo. And they're actually gonna be successful, so let's watch that play out. Oh, by the way, for our roamer, the jump that or our Sully rather, the jump that their Sully just did is a really good one because, well, I'll talk about it later. They miss like pretty much everything, but they still get our medic somehow because we take too long to clean them up. Anyway, so the jump I'm talking about for you, Droy, is you stand on cliff, do like a wall jump off here, then you do a pogo off the top of this rock, and you can just go wherever you want from there. Like you just can go to China, kill their sniper, to cliff, or just land like right here on top of their medic and sink 2 rockets in his face. Their heavy is incredibly overextended for whatever reason. Awkward spy bump. Oh man, that was funny. And we all get pissed on. They're talking a lot in using the TF2 voice chat as well. How barbaric. Barbaric. Oh, right now I also remember that I called that their sniper was on China, and I think most people did a good job of not picking sightlines, especially our medic. So that's nice. I tried to like shoot some charged stickies at him, but I guess I can't throw him far enough. You just need to practice that a bit, like charging stickies. Our heavy is using wall hacks, like shooting through this fence, which is pretty nice as well. Perfect abuse. Looks like Adam died. I guess he was too aggressive or something. But yeah, when we're like holding passively, generally our Sully and Scott should be holding this connector. But this game they didn't do it a lot, but it was because the game was like so they didn't have any control. So they were just able to get in behind for free a lot of the time, which is perfectly fine. Like if you can get in behind for free, then you should probably do it. Yeah. Again, they have a lot of people on cliff. And they've committed to a passive mini sentry because our flank was like dominating them, I think. For some reason their demo is alone on right side. Oof. Droy gets launched up in craters. I don't know how good communication Adam and Droy had this game because I don't like remember the comms, but it's something that they kind of didn't do very well earlier. I know in the past they like played separately instead of playing as a team and like following up on each other's damage. So that's something that they can work on as well. Just try to talk more together and play as a team on the flank. Because I mean like they have pretty good DM, so if they combine that DM with some teamwork, they're gonna do really well, I think. But when I get headshot, I like peek their sniper on the China, so that's pretty bad by me. I don't know where our sniper is. Ah, he's right here, yeah. Our sniper for the most part should just be trying to shoot their sniper as long as their sniper is up. But I think he did actually pick their sniper a lot of the time. So, that's good. really helps as well if our team actually calls out the enemy sniper's position, then our sniper can just go for that sniper, and he can get like that, and he can get a buff as well, like so that he can survive a headshot.
Please don't ever talk again. Please.
Here we used, and I actually accomplished something. I killed their medic, but our medic instantly dies, so like the crits ends. I'm gonna see how our med died. We should be doing a better job of doing proper map talks as well, so that everybody knows like how they should roll out and where they should hold, where they should go on mid, etc, etc. So I'll make sure to try and do that. We'll need some more time though, because our main problem has just been that we don't commit enough time to map talks. Eventually, of course, when people learn the maps, then we won't have to have that long map talks. So that's gonna be nice, but in the beginning, you know, I think it's worthwhile to just commit a little bit of extra time. Also, what I like here is when we have crits and we hold the point, they're being pretty pressured. And what we're doing is just like forcing them onto the point, because the point itself is actually like more choky than the grass area and behind rock and such. So it's easier to get a good crits off if they're actually like trying to cap. People will be just more bunched up and everything. And anyway, it looks like their spy gets a backstab yet again, dropping from house. Our snipers, I don't know if our sniper actually saw him before that, but yeah, it's just something that we're not doing a very good job of, and now he's gonna like probably get our sniper right afterward. He just runs through house once more and gets another backstab. So yeah, I don't know how many times I should say it. I'm probably good for now, but but people just need to check house and look up on China and like the stairs outside right here where he just drops down to main from, and hopefully we won't get backstabbed as much if we can successfully do that. I'm pretty sure their spy actually top scored, like he got a lot of kills at least, and a lot of med picks, 4 I believe.
I have heard about that thing.
Anyway,
Sounds terrible.
I believe their medic is actually AFK for a certain portion of this map as well. Now, yeah, their scout, I think, like switch to medic, because their real medic is actually in spawn. Let's have a look. Yeah, so I guess that's the reason why we won. And our medic gets backstabbed again. I'm not gonna even go back because it's probably just the same thing that happened. We get a lot of picks though. Like we get a headshot and a backstab, and Adam kills their heavy and he snipes their dispenser. So right now they're just being desperate, trying to jump on the point, and we collapse on them from every angle, and we win because they had an AFK player. So that feels good. We might have won anyways, but I don't know. So I believe that was it for this demo review. I'm just going to go through the list of things to improve on from this match, and then I'll close out the stream. So let's go through this. I might have missed a few points, but whatever. We'll just like update the billboard afterwards and get everything sorted out anyway. So for everyone to improve first of all, people need to get on the point when the time is about to run out, if they have the point capped, obviously. Everybody needs to look around more, look for spies, decloaks, especially our heavy and pyro, as well as our medic and NG, to be honest. Like, yeah, as an NG, when you're building stuff, what you can do is just like hit your building and then look around in the time between your melee swings. You got nothing to lose on that, obviously. Like, maybe it requires a little bit more effort, but obviously it's like important because we need to spot spies before they can kill everybody. Everybody needs to fix their rollout. You know, we need to get whipped to mid, and people need to stop going up concrete and just get like spammed out by their demo. Then we need to work on sacks, and both of these things should be addressed in map talks. So I'll be sure to see to that, so that everybody knows what to do, and like we work out how the calling should go. Something good though is that our comms has improved a lot. I think like people are more calm and they are more precise when they call me, instead of just like saying the same thing over again, or like being very inaccurate about their statements. So for our scout, things to work on is just movement against projectile classes. He did a good job of like getting behind and DMing, but sometimes he overextended and took fights that he shouldn't have, when he could have just stayed alive and maybe tried to regroup with our Solly and done that teamwork that I talked about. Same goes for our Solly pretty much. Sometimes he needs to consider not jumping directly in, but like jumping behind instead. On mids, that's usually going to mean that you jump on cliff, because obviously there's not actually that much space on mids. So cliff is usually the place that is not occupied by the enemy team. So you jump on cliff, you like spam a bit from there, then you go like take the pack beneath their cliff, and then you maybe go in from behind again. So that's pretty good as Solly. Also, our Solly needs to like not suicide into them when they're looking at him. Only go for jumps if you can be really fast, like do the jump from cliff and then pogo on the rock, or if you can jump in from behind when they don't see you. And finally, our Solly just needs to be a little bit more precise with his rockets. Just take your time with your shots, make sure you don't hit props and like stuff. It's just something that I noticed when I watched from your POV. Moving on to our pyro. Our pyro needs to be more passive. Like, reflecting is good on the front line, but a lot of the time, you know, you need to just try to look behind you, see where your team's at, and make sure you don't overextend. Also, in regards to spy checking, you know, spy check a little bit more frequently, because having a dispenser up, you know, you're not gonna have a problem with ammo, so you can just spend a lot more ammo on just spy checking. And when you do spy check, actually check places where a spy would hide, like in corners and such. Don't just spray around like the immediate area where you're standing. Moving on to myself, I just need to work on map talks. We need more time for that. And I need to work on my crits, be more precise, take my time with the stickies, call crits before I shoot my first sticky, which I use, but I like need to, what I'm trying to say is I do that, but I need to do it even earlier so that we have time to pop the crits as well. Moving on to our heavy, he needs to like play a little bit more passive as well, try to function more as a sentry, just punish people that overextend. Don't like try to peek and shoot people really far away, because you're not gonna accomplish much with that anyway. And look a lot more behind to just like check for declocks, especially on mids, because that's when like people are gonna be most distracted and their spy is gonna be running across the point and then like just decloaking as fast as they can in house or something like that. So just make sure that you check behind as a heavy and just, you know, spray a little bit around, especially if you're like sitting on top of a rock and we have a dispenser there, you know, just hold down your mouse button and spray everywhere to look for spies. Our NG as well, you know, needs to just look around more while he's like building or whatever, and other than that he just needs to keep working on his shotgun DM so that he can be useful even without these buildings. For our medic, there's a lot of text here. First of all, heal from a distance and don't jump / wander into sightlines. That goes for like the first kill where I called that their sniper was on a rock and they like jumped across the stairs there where he got headshot. Kind of unfortunate, but still, it's, you know, like the medic is the most important class, so you are gonna have a lot more responsibility if you die. So that's why I'm being a little bit extra critical, I guess. Don't trust the wall. You know, you're probably gonna get backstabbed even if you're standing with your back against the wall, because that's the way spies work. And then just look more around. You have a lot of freedom as a medic to look around, obviously. Yeah, something I wrote as well is that you should work on just surfing damage, and that means any kind of damage, not just stickies and rockets, but you can also like surf sentry damage as well as heavy damage and pretty much anything. At one point, when we used crits, I think it was the very first crits we used, you were like following me a bit too closely. I think you should try to use your max heal distance. But anyway, like they had a heavy who jumped down the stairs from our concrete and he immediately started shooting you. And what you can do then is just jump up in the air, crouch, and try to surf his damage away and like strafe to the sides to try and avoid it. But yeah, you didn't die, but you dropped very low, and it was pretty close. So try to work on just surfing damage. Like when you're dodging, consider when to jump and when to stick to the ground. Generally, if you're like trying to dodge hit scan, you wanna stick to the ground and just use AD. But if you're against projectile classes or a sniper, projectile classes, you want to jump like so that you can surf the damage, or against a sniper you want to jump and then spam crouch in the air so that your hitbox gets messed up. Anyway, moving on to our sniper. Well, sniping is pretty much just pure DM, so I just wrote, you know, like keep practicing on DM. That's about it. I don't think there was anything else. Make sure that you ask for buffs if you have like crit heals, and if you hear their enemy snipers like being called out, their position, just always try to snipe him first, because he poses a really big threat to the rest of the team, and like we have a lot more freedom if their sniper is down to push forward for free and use our sniper as leverage. And finally, moving on to our spy, I think you should run the revolver most of the time. Again, look more around. You might see an enemy spy decloaking. As well as, like, generally, yeah, I did watch actually the game from your POV, and like sometimes you missed a bit of important information because you didn't look that much around. Like at one point in the very beginning of the first round, you went behind and you went to their cliff, and their NG was actually there on top of the cliff, but because you didn't look up, you walked straight into him as he dropped down from cliff onto the ammo pack in order to like keep building his stuff. And because of that, he was able to call out your position, and you didn't get much done because of that. So just look around. It's not important. It's not only important for looking for the enemy spy, but it also is pretty important for like just getting information and making sure that you don't bump people and people don't see you when you're trying to go for stabs, etc. And you can also, like, if you look around and spot some important information like the enemy sniper's position, you can just call that to the rest of the team. A lot of the time, like, spy is a pretty inconsistent class, unless you're playing against a completely incompetent team like us, for instance. But what you can always do is give information to your team, like, while just staying invisible, and it's always going to be valuable. So finally, what I wrote for spy is that occasionally I would see that you could have fought with your pistol a bit more instead of like cloaking and going behind the lines, because there was like a fight going on. And if you can hit shots with a revolver, you can actually do a lot of damage. I remember one instance in particular where you had just died, you respawned, and you took the tally. And as you came out of the tally, there was a fight going on our right side. We were like fighting their spy and their scout. and you didn't see that, and instead you'd like just cloaked and disguised and started running up. But what you could have done ideally, I think, would be to just, you know, help us out, shoot a couple of revolver shots into them, and well, our medic nearly died there, so it might have like made the difference between our medic living and dying. So something to keep in mind as a spy. Sometimes you don't always have to like go undercover. Sometimes you can just go in guns blazing, helping out your team with that revolver, because if you can hit every shot, it actually has a pretty high DPM. Anyway, I think that was all for this demo review. And if there was something I forgot, you know, we'll cover it afterwards in like the next map review or map talk or whatever. So yeah, I guess I'll see you for the next scrim. I'm gonna stop the stream now.